And do Ryan and I sound?
That's funny because you guys don't sound like the stereotypical, like what Americans think of like if somebody were to do a Canadian accent, you don't sound like that.
What's that
However,
about?
Yeah, what are you talk? What are you
yeah.
talk? What are you talking about? I don't understand.
However, there are certain words that it's very clear that you're Canadian. Like
I'm sorry.
sorry, it's like you
Sorry.
guys have a longer O or something. And so we say process or project, and
Oh,
you
we say
guys
yeah.
say project and process. What's another one? Again. You guys say again, we say again.
I do a bit of
I thought I said
both.
again.
Yeah, but
Oh,
you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
other
even like
than
Ryan
that,
and I are from different parts of Canada, so
person.
we'll probably say things slightly different.
But yeah, I don't think it's very slight the difference. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the stereotypical Canadian accent is more like Southern Ontario area.
And Ontario is like where Toronto is. That Toronto?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So but then Toronto's its own thing, but outside of
Ah,
Toronto in Southern Ontario, so like near Michigan or Western New York, that's kind of the typical Canadian accent, I think.
okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I probably because there's a lot of Americans that interact with a lot of Canadian just because the borders are so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Katie,
Mhm.
is that tattoo sleeves or is that your shirt?
Oh, it's my shirt.
Oh,
No,
I was,
I don't have, yeah, I don't have, I'm actually a tattoo virgin. I'm one of the few humans on earth probably that doesn't have a tattoo.
I
Oh,
don't have
same
any.
here actually.
What? All
Yeah.
three of us? No tattoos.
I'm not
Seriously?
against yeah. I'm not against tattoos at all. I haven't found one that I'm like wanting to do.
I
I'm not
used to
like I
want
want this for
one.
life.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that as you age, I'm not sure they look that awesome. But yeah, it's like, I don't think I love anything so much that I want it permanently on my body,
Agreed.
you know?
Agreed.
I wonder how many like "What's up" tattoos are from like the late '90s.
Oh, people don't do tramp stamps anymore. Those are probably aging poorly. That was a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, speaking of tattoos and the sleeves, it actually for our Patreon watchers, they can see what we're talking about here. It looks like you almost have the same color and design that Sly seems to have all over his chest and shoulders. What?
Can I,
Yeah,
oh,
speak to
I
that.
think it's just like I think it's just a
I
sheer
see it
top,
now.
but I will say, I don't want to, I hope I don't offend anyone who does have a lot of tattoos or sleeves. Again, I'm not like to each their own,
Sure.
but I don't love Stallone with the tattoos. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
He's not, I don't love it. That's all I'll say about
It's a weird thing that he did. I remember, and I'm a huge Sly fan, of course, obviously. In Rocky Balboa, he didn't have them.
it.
So
Hmm.
I think it was shortly after that, maybe because he figured he would never really be fully shirtless again in the film. But I remember when I watched The Expendables and he had them, and uh, I was like, oh, I thought that was just for the movie. And I admit my naivety, and I thought, oh, he's just
Hmm.
getting them for the movies. Oh no, he got this done. Like almost like he went like nuts for his first time. It's weird.
Yeah.
Am I missing the timeline here? It seemed like Rocky Balboa that wasn't a makeup cover job, and then all of a sudden he just was covered.
I wasn't sure what the timeline of it was, so I'm glad that you mentioned that because I actually wondered if they just like blurted or with the movie magic. I don't know that much about movie making clearly, so I thought maybe they did something because it does seem odd that in his 60s he would all of a sudden get a bunch of tattoos. But I think maybe it might be this is my hypothesis is that that was around when his daughters were like getting to be like teenagers or young adults, and so he was being around them and their friends and I don't know if he thought it was a way to stay youthful.
It's an odd age for I know he's a celebrity, but still, it's an odd age to kind of like
Yeah.
go that full scale of tattoos. It's something I thought maybe I'll do one day in my life, but if I ever did and I'm in my 60s, I don't think I'm going full chest and backside or whatever. Yeah. All right, well, we're already recording, which is fine.
Okay.
It's good banter. Let's make sure I'm recording on Zoom as well. Double record. Okay. So let's just roll right into it. Ready?
Yep.
Cue the music. Oh, the Creed. I say cue the music, but that's not true. We do the Creed beginning. Boy, that Creed music at the beginning. How do you like that, guys?
I listen to the podcast. I don't normally listen to them, especially if I've been on it.
Sure, I understand.
But I figured since it was Katie's first podcast and I missed it, I figured I would listen to it. And then I heard that opening, I was like,
but it's a 15, 20-second joke, and I always say if people really hate it, that every phone has that skip. You know, if you like, we don't do ads, we don't do ad reads, we don't do like anything really, like in the sense of other than just talking to the movie, talking about Sly. I mean, we're pretty to the point type. I listen to a lot of podcasts. We're actually pretty good about staying on track, and we don't do any advertisements or anything. So I figured the 15-minute Creed song for the season of Creed, or 15 seconds, sorry, Creed song for Creed. It's a fun little gag that I'm enjoying because every time I do the edit, I literally, what I do is behind the curtain, I go on YouTube, Creed cover, and then you can change the filter to upload date, and it will show you the newest. And there's daily, hourly, and it's always like these Filipino, I don't know, like countries. They're obsessed with that song, and they literally there's a daily and hourly almost release of a Creed cover from a karaoke type program or whatever. So that's what I'm grabbing them from. So it's just horrible. And
I admittedly, Ryan, I skip past it because it's so bad.
That's awesome.
But
I love that I'm putting people on some sort of journey.
But it is funny. It's just like that people don't realize it's a joke. I think they're like, what is this?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I figured I might throw away some of our first time listeners, but again, if after 20 seconds they don't get it and they literally have turned it off, then come on, you're not going to enjoy the show because that's our humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get into it. Mail. Do we have mail?
We do have mail. So I'll try not to screw up the mailbag. I'm going to do it this time. So hopefully you all don't get sick of my voice. But we have a few emails from people.
Brian, sorry, Katie. I've been co-hosting for how long? And I've never had the privilege of reading the mail ever.
Is it a privilege? Because
I suppose it is.
Then you get it next time.
No.
I made that rule.
No, you're the it's so cliche, but you're the female. The female reads the news,
does
you know,
the
like
housekeeping.
Yeah, you know that. That's right. The female does the housekeeping.
Housekeeping. So I thought of that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right."
Yeah, but because you have nothing worthy to add, I thought it'd give you like a script. So this is
okay. All right. Well, I'll try and stick to it then.
Awesome.
No, I won't. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. I will not stick to the script.
Good.
But the first email does come from Hector. He says, "Hello, Ryan, Kyle, and Katie." I'm in all caps. Like, anyway, just thought I'd. Yeah,
you are
I'm in
the
all
star.
caps.
You are the star of these emails. You know.
If I'm reading them, I can put my spin on it.
Of course.
He says. So Hector says, "I gotta say, I'm looking forward to when all three do the podcast together." Well, here we are. But Ryan, you don't know that women weaken legs, right? Like, you know, how dare you have a female on? And
that's true.
Yeah.
That's why I have to sit when I podcast with you. With Kyle, I had to stand. It was my legs were so erect.
He says, this is funny. He says, "Thankfully you're not in a boxing match. Otherwise your nose would be busted."
Oh, sorry. Sorry,
Hector. The poly joke, busted.
Oh, we failed that miserably. Oh.
I thought I replied quickly, but
you did. Thanks, Kyle. So otherwise your nose would be busted. Asking Mick to open your eyes via box cutter, which is a good point. That's kind of crazy, actually, that it literally is like a razor blade that he uses. Anyway.
Yeah, it's gross.
He says, "I had many questions and comments about the scenes you guys reviewed, But what really irritates me is this is Jean, that's a Jean, here's a Jean, there's a Jean. So he says, is this a way of talking the same as Smurf talk? As if Papa Smurf were saying, Gargamel smurfed the other Smurfs with a Smurf, and it's not smurfing Smurf them.
It's exactly that. It's exactly that.
Bianca tells us that it's a noun.
Right.
It's replaceable for any noun, but yeah.
Did you guys ever watch Thundercats? The cartoon when you're kids? I know I'm a little bit older than you two. Okay.
No.
So Thundercats had a character, and his name, I might edit this in as well, but there was a creature. The creature's name was Snarf. And
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, and his name. I'll do a very good. I'll do a very terrible impersonation of him. But if you know the character, I think you'll get the character. So his name was Snarf, and he was a Snarf. And when he spoke, he would snarf. So I go, you snarf.
Oh, I just Googled that. I do remember this.
Yeah, am I right about that voice? You go, you snarf.
Yeah.
That sounds a little familiar, but otherwise it doesn't.
It's so stupid. It's like me saying, "Oh, human." It's so
We had to invent our own word for the podcast that could be replaceable for any noun, which is probably busted.
Yeah, it's probably busted. This book,
but that's
busted is an adjective, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think it's a noun, but whatever, we'll use it.
What's John, right? Like, which apparently is JAWN.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's JAWN.
But I like his reference to the Smurfs because I loved me some Smurfs when I was little.
I loved them too, and it always frustrated me because I thought I was a pretty good kid, and I believed, and I could never see a Smurf, and it irritated me because it used to say at the beginning of the intro, if you're good enough or whatever, you'll be able to see a Smurf. You had to be good to see a Smurf.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. And maybe you two will catch a glimpse of the Smurf or something like that. Maybe I'll have to insert that audio as well.
Okay.
And then it bugged me because Gargamel saw him all the time. He wanted to kill them. I never understood that. That was my first moment of cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, you were a smarter kid than most. Like they weren't. I don't think they were planning on kids figuring that out. They just wanted to make kids better for their parents.
Yeah, maybe.
By saying be good. Anyway, so Hector says, great episode, great show. Don't Jean it up. Unless John is a good thing. Real Hector Canales.
Oh, we love Hector.
That's from Hector. Yeah. Good email.
Is he following you yet on Twitter? We'll get to
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yes, he is. Okay, good. Whew.
Yes.
I was going to call him out. Okay, sorry. What's our next one?
The next one's from Patrick Mentel. He says, hello, Ryan, Kyle, and Katie. It's Patrick again. Just wanted to chime in on some things Creed and Rocky. But first, I wanted to congratulate Katie on her first episode as co-host. Well done. Aw, thanks, Patrick. I'd like to hear your opinions on two things. The first one is Sly's 35th anniversary director's cut of Rocky 4. Do you welcome that? Just wait. Let's read what he has to say and then maybe talk about it. He says, at first, I was a bit disappointed as I think a new cut of Rocky 5 would make much more sense. I love Rocky 5 as it was my first Rocky at the cinema when I was 13. He says he was born in 1977. But combining the theatrical cut and the work print plus changing some song choices could make for an even better movie. So those are Patrick's thoughts. What do you guys think of the director's cut of Rocky 4?
I feel bad we never really talked about this in our last episode. We're kind of not behind the eight ball, so to speak, but by the time this episode comes out, maybe the cut will be out. Because I know the director's cut is supposed to come out on the anniversary of the release of Rocky 4. So I'm not sure when that is. Maybe it's November or December.
Okay.
It's supposed to be this year, so that's very soon. I know Sly's working on it daily. He keeps updating on his Instagram. Really cool videos and behind the scenes of him working on it. So here's my feelings. And of course, I want to hear both your feelings.
Wait. I'm sorry. I kind of messed this up. There's a second paragraph where he talks about his perspective. So it might change yours. I apologize.
Sure.
He says, so he was saying that he thinks that a director's cut of Rocky 5 would be better. Right. And then he says, but Rocky 4, ? It's near perfect as the quintessential 80s Rocky in my book. So at first, So he says, at first, I was very indifferent to it. It could be interesting, though. Sly already said he would lose the robot and that the movie would
Right.
be soulful.
Right.
Will he replace the great Vince DiCola score and use Bill Conti's? Will he have to change a lot to make it really different? Which is fine because we'll always have the theatrical cut. So, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so I'll be quick. Because I do want to hear your guys' thoughts. First off, I know people. At the end of the day, Patrick's right, and that's my argument to the detractors. Is even if you're detracting his vision of a director's cut, it's Sly, number one. It's his creation, and his time has changed. His vision of the character has changed. I think he is embarrassed by some of the things he did in the '80s. I think that was a movie of gluttony and a lot of silliness. It wasn't real to the character we saw in parts 1 and 2, and even in part 3 wasn't too bad of jumping the shark, minus the wrestling match. But at the end of the day, Rocky 4 is basically Rocky in space, and that's why Rocky 5 was Rocky 5, because even Sly knew that we have to bring it back. Like what do we do after Rocky 4? Do we put Rocky literally in space, or do we make it grounded again? Because it was too crazy. And I love Rocky 4. Who doesn't? It's a fun movie. I get it. It's a fun movie. But it would be interesting to see a dramatic movie, a truly dramatic, powerful movie with, and the Vince DiCola score. Good. I don't know. I love it, but does it fit for a dramatic? We're not going to have the robot. So how he's going to do the birthday scenes, or when the robot comes in and interrupts the meeting when Apollo comes over? I guess they're just going to cut that out completely, which is not that hard. Just cut out that whole segment. So Sly definitely, and I think the reason why he's doing it, honestly, is because of Creed 2. I think he wants Rocky 4 to be a real kind of prequel to Creed 2. So you could watch Rocky 4 and kind of roll into Creed 2 without being like, holy, these are two different worlds. Kyle?
It's a tough call. I was thinking my opinions changed a little bit after hearing both Patrick's and yours thoughts. I would say it is. I'm tempted for Rocky 5 to be adjusted, but I think it's better left as it is. Mainly because, kind of what you were saying, with Rocky 4, it hasn't aged well. Where Rocky 5 actually seems better now. Like, it seems to be aging better over time. So
Agreed.
The need to adjust it isn't really there as much. And also from like a marketing perspective. Oh, one sec, my kid just came in.
No worries.
Aww.
Get away, you little bastard. No, I'm sorry. I was going to say or echo what Kyle was saying.
Mom's going to put you to bed, okay?
He could have muted his mic. This is a disaster.
We have a fourth today. It's fun.
Okay, so where is she right now?
There he goes. Hey, thanks. Okay, it's all good. So, what I'm going to totally echo what Kyle's saying regarding the Rocky 5. We talked about this during our season 5, where we mentioned that Rocky 5 has aged better. Like parts 3 and 4, it doesn't feel as aged. Now, it has its flaws as a movie, but it doesn't feel it doesn't feel like a 90s or 80s movie, other than the soundtrack. And in fact, there is a video out there that I have, I think still,
the music is super 90s.
It is, yeah. Snap or whatever, that rap Snap group. What are they called? Oh, I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, it's a very 90s hip hop soundtrack. It doesn't age. That kind of music, it's fun,
right,
but it doesn't age.
It's very early 90s for sure. I guess I don't know. How does Rocky 4 not age well, aside from the robot?
I think the robot, that's what he's cutting. That's one of the big issues. Because we in 2020 know that even today we don't have robots doing that, taking phone calls in the driveway, grabbing beer from the fridge for Paul. Like, we know that a human put a beer can in that robot's hand. Like, there's a lot of it goes beyond suspension of belief. It's it's one thing to have a Rocky character beat up a Russian in the ring, okay, but we in the movie we're led to believe this robot went to the fridge, grabbed Paulie a beer. Like, come on, it didn't happen.
Rocky's not realistic though. I mean, I guess I disagree. Like, partially, okay. So a couple things. Rocky 4 is a lot of people's favorite Rocky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For a good reason. I mean, and it is what it is. It is, as Patrick says, it's the quintessential 80s movie. So if you take it for
Sure.
what it is, and we couldn't, it's almost like we needed a little, like if we had all 5 movies that are very serious and soulful and somber, and like that would get old. So we sort of needed this little, plus it was the 80s, and yeah, let's do something fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's like, I actually kind of like the robot scenes. There's only a couple, and especially the one where the robot brings in the cake.
Happy birthday,
And
Polly.
well, no, not that, but the music that it plays, like because he dims
Yes.
the lights, like Rocky says he dims the lights,
Yeah.
and then it plays the music
Yeah.
that we will hear later.
Yeah.
Of that
Driver.
yeah, the it's like scary almost, or it makes you nervous. Like even as a viewer, it does what it like makes you nervous. Like, oh my God. I don't know. I kind of loved it. Maybe I like the cheesiness of it, and I think a lot of people do too. So my thoughts on the Rocky 4 is, if he says he's going to make it soulful, like, well, you're completely changing the whole
Mm-hmm.
like tone of the movie. Like we're going to now have 2 versions of Rocky 4, and
Mm-hmm.
I fear that it's like the alternate ending situation where it kind of ruins the original a little bit, or like don't mess with it. People love it. Like just leave it. But on the other hand, like you guys have mentioned, we shouldn't doubt Sly. Like he usually, does good by us. But there's always a little bit of like, okay, does he really know when to let it be? Because this
No.
is an easy paycheck for him.
The answer is no. That's his main problem.
He doesn't. I love him so much, and he
Mhm.
usually does do a good job. But I think he sees this, as a businessman, Sly is probably like, I could make a bunch of money if I just do that. Like because of Creed 2's popularity, I don't know. That's kind of how I feel
I'm sure
about.
there's some money involved, but if you really wanted to make money easily, this isn't an easy project necessarily. If you wanted to just make money easily, he could just re-release everything on a 4K DVD box set. It wouldn't take much work to authorize all that. So the fact that he's actually getting the back end of the studio, it's basically it's the Stallone cut. It's like the same way we have the DC Snyder cut for that for Justice League. We've got the Stallone cut of Rocky. I'm actually, I admit, I'm kind of like, I'm excited that we're doing this. Like, I'm just excited that this is going on. Like, I like take the whole, like, is it going to be better or worse? I don't care. It's something different. Like, he's taking his vision today in 2020 from 35 years ago. It's like, no, I got a different vision of this movie. It's different now, guys. Suck it up. This is 74-year-old. This is 74-year-old Stallone saying, this is how I want the movie to be today. You still have the original, great. You can never watch my director's cut, but it'll be interesting to see what he has to say as a storyteller today, and what kind of footage does he have.
I agree with that.
And we will, of course, watch it.
Sorry, can I go ahead?
So I think it's good to have, like, I think you can have multiple perspectives on the same film.
Sure.
Like, you don't have to accept the director's cut as like a canon or reality if you don't want to. But it's like, I just see it as just a different vision of what Rocky 4 could have been.
Sure.
But like Katie was saying earlier, you did really have to change a lot in the movie, like the whole tone, because it isn't just the robot. Like Paulie's character is like silliness throughout the whole film.
Yeah,
You'd have to cut out all those scenes.
It's weird.
You'd have to cut out all the Paulie scenes, and in Rocky, that's really just a continuation of Rocky 3 Paulie. He's really silly and over the
snow
top.
When he's falling in the snow.
Yeah.
Can I tell you guys
comics and his fertility and falling in the snow and just like the whole if I could step out and be someone, I'd want to be you, and then taking it back. Like it's the movie's just so grandiose. Like it's silly, but also it's like you have the James Brown music thing there. You have just like even the Drago fight with Rocky. It's so excessive. Like it's people fighting to the point where you would literally kill each other. Like you couldn't fight that way. And you could criticize the other Rockies for being like that too, but 4 just takes it up a whole level. So I actually, now that I say that, I have my doubts on whether you really could change it. Like you'd have to refilm a bunch of stuff. Like I don't know if you could really cut like just by cutting, if you could really turn that movie into a legitimate, soulful, more somber film. Like
Unless there's a ton of footage that wasn't used in the original.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a good point.
There must be. There must
yeah,
be. It must.
yeah.
It could be just a combination of. Maybe it's not as much as we think. Maybe it is just taking out the robot, adding a different soundtrack. But then if he does, Conti never recorded a soundtrack for Rocky. So
right,
you could reuse older songs,
you
like
could.
just all the classic parts, which I would be disappointed by.
Mm-hmm.
Sly's got to know that. Sly's got to know that.
But to me, I don't know. I'm not actually that excited about it.
Really? I'm not either. I mean, I will pay. I will watch it. I will pay an exorbitant amount of money to see anything that Sly does. But
that's why this is happening.
Exactly. I think he knows that. He's like, I don't think he's greedy, but I just think he's like, let's capitalize on, whatever.
That's his job. His job is to
don't
entertain
think he can let it go.
Right.
I don't think Sly could let the Rocky universe go. As much as he says it, like, oh, I'm done here. I'm done here. I'm done here. And I've said this before in the podcast. I think he means it every time he says it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think he just kind of convinces himself to come back again.
Well, to that point,
I'm never going to drink again.
To that point, Kyle, that takes us to Patrick's second point. He says, so now that Patrick's second point is, do you think that we will see Rocky on screen again? Whether it will be in a Creed film, which Sly said no in the last month, or in another Rocky. He's toying with this Mexican fighter idea. So what are your gut feelings here?
No. I can honestly say no.
You don't think he'll do the Rocky Mexican fighter thing?
No, well, he said, I know. I have to go on what he's telling us too. Like, will he do the table flip again and come back? Maybe, sure. Everything's a possibility regarding Sly, but he, with the little knowledge I have behind the scenes, talking to guys like John Rivoli and what have you, and I asked him straight up on my interview with him, and he concluded too with what he knows regarding Sly and what he said on Instagram, what Sly said on Instagram, that he had an idea months ago. He did, yeah, it was almost a year ago now, pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, he had some ideas. I would say that probably hampered some of his what he was going to do with it, but I think he's now just kind of doing this stuff now, like maybe tinkering here, re-releasing there. He's doing he is doing films right now, and I think he knows he's just getting older too. We know he's not going to fight on screen as a Rocky character, but if it is anything, it will be that kind of Clint Eastwood type movie where he takes some sort of immigrant issue under his wing type thing. It'll be more of a like that type of drama. It'd have to be something so unique and different. Sure.
I don't think he'll come back in a major way.
That's too safe. That's too safe.
I see him like at least cameoing or something like that.
He won't do Creed 3 though.
Who knows what he'll do?
Oh, I kind of hate that.
Actually, do though.
He had such a bad time on Creed 2, is my understanding. From what I've heard from multiple sources who know that behind the scenes stuff, this isn't stuff you're going to read on the internet. And I will say,
Creed 3, I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think
the new Rocky thing with the Mexican fighters, I think I could see him being in that easily.
And we'll be there.
Ryan, to acknowledge what you're saying, though, I certainly see what you're saying is definitely possible. I'm not totally disagreeing. I'm just my gut is that he's gonna wedge his way back in somehow.
All right. Next email.
So Patrick says, at last I want to offer my service as a guest host sometime down the line. In an episode of Creed 2, for example, there's a German connection there, as Victor Drago is played by Florian Munteanu, who was born in Germany. So he says, I would really love to do that.
I won't say no, and this isn't on this is Peter, right? Or Patrick.
This is Patrick.
Patrick. Patrick, that's I won't say no, and the reason why I always feel bad. I've actually got a couple Twitters just recently, direct messages from people saying they want to come on the show. I know Patrick listens to the show, so he's different. He would be up there with a guest host. That'd be a good thing to come on our season finale, like we did for season 6. That's probably when we do something like that. Have a rotating people want to come on, say hi, and give their thoughts on the franchise. It's got nothing to do with him. It's just sometimes I get nervous. I don't know him, but he sounds fine. But you get nervous, like, and we don't want to have obviously 20 hosts. So that's not the point. But so I'm not saying no or yes, Patrick. I'm just saying we hear you, and I do appreciate you listening and sending these emails, and your insights are awesome, and the questions you brought up were awesome. Let's just put a bookmark on it. Pin it, thank you. Pin in it.
Put a pin in it.
And for the season finale of Creed, let's do that, because that would be a great way for you to talk about your Creed 2 perspective before we even roll into it. So a Creed finale guest appearance would be awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good call. So the third email is from Luis. He says, yo, mofos. Yeah. I was watching. Yeah,
he's awesome.
Luis has been on the podcast, right?
Yeah, he was on he's one of the guys I'm talking about. He was a guy that came on the season 6 finale.
Okay,
he's a cool guy.
Yeah,
he was good talking to him.
Yeah,
cool. I don't think I realized that. So he says,
that's him. Yeah.
I was watching the unedited Patreon show version of episode 5, and y'all touched on the difference in charisma between Apollo and Adonis, and it echoes my sentiments about Michael B. Jordan in general. I think he's great in action scenes in the Creed films and in Black Panther, but he just doesn't have the it factor, and it kind of sucks to me throughout the rest of those 3 films. Killmonger should have been an all-time epic villain, but he dropped the ball, and he is abrasive as Adonis. In my opinion, the best work he's done was when he was a teenager. He played Wallace in The Wire, which is, by the way, the best written show of all time, highly recommended to everyone. I've actually not seen it, but I've heard good things. Is this the one with Idris Elba? Yes. Is he the star of The Wire?
And actually, Tony Jr. is one of the main bad guys in that franchise as well.
Oh,
from the Creed film, yeah. It's actually got an incredible cast, and it is literally one of the best shows on TV ever. I have all the DVDs behind me of the show. It's an incredible series.
So was he better? Was Michael B. Jordan better in that?
He was.
Do you agree with Luis?
I didn't know him as Michael. I'd have to go back and watch it again, knowing who he is now. But it's probably true because the writing was so incredible in the direction. So it's almost you'd have to be. I could probably do okay because when the writing's so good, and it takes a bad actor to really mess up a good script. If that makes sense. That's how important script writing direction is.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Sly, we know, is a good actor, but he's been in some crappy movies because the direction and the writing's horrible. Like, you can't, when you're an actor, you can only do with what's been given you, and the directors have a huge role.
I actually like Sly better as a writer. I'm not criticizing his acting. I have no problem with his acting, especially in Creed. I thought he did an excellent job. But like banging out Rocky 1 like he did like that, and the writing in that film, like that is very, very impressive.
He's a creator. I think he's a creator.
Yeah.
That was like perfect. But anyway, so I need to watch The Wire.
Yes.
So we'll get back to you on that, Luis, or I will. Then Luis goes on to say, on a personal note, I'm on a weight loss journey myself and recently started a ketogenic diet, which Ryan and I talked about. He says, I'm just too damn sexy to be so overweight. I love that. He says, I started at 266 and I'm currently at 243 with a goal of getting under 190 pounds. Since you guys like to talk about male attractiveness and there's a woman's perspective now, great debut, Katie, I'm going to post pics of myself when I get close to my goal. Well, first of all, good on you. Congratulations on the weight loss and good luck to you on the remainder of your journey. Then he says in a clubber voice, so you can see what a real man looks like.
Luis, I love it.
He says, just kidding. Feel free to cave in the right side of my face with your honest critiques of my appearance. No, we only critique. First of all, those critiques of the actors on screen are not going away, especially now that I'm here. But we won't ever critique like real humans.
Yeah, Luis, you puffy bastard. No, that's awesome. He's so good. Yeah, he's a great contributor he's a Patreon, and he always comments on our Facebook group. He's a great guy and a great sense of humor. So good luck with that too. Yeah, keto's great. If you want to lose weight, it's hard to maintain, or it's a hard way to eat for the rest of your life. it's not fun sometimes. I miss a lot of stuff, but it is a great way to lose weight, and losing weight is good. That's my recommendation. Okay. Let's reset the clock because we got 3 minutes left before we have to reset. So I'm just going to pause the recording and then I'm going to reinvite you guys.
Okay.
Oh. Great job on the reading so far there, Katie. Great job. Oh, you're unmuted. Your mic's muted.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
You lie nice.
That's good. All right. So what's the next email? We're ready to go.
That's it.
Oh.
There were some comments actually, but I think we read those last time.
Okay, that's fine.
They sounded familiar.
Okay, I believe you.
Okay.
It's sometimes it can happen. We've done that before, so I trust you. All right. Well, listen. We're starting a new recording here, so let's roll into the actual film. We're ready to move on. Great discussion points. That's why we love these emails, people. If you want to send us an email, it's gtdwithrr@gmail.com. You can also send us messages via the Facebook or whatever. That's fine too. But the email is just a nice way for us to have it all together and read it out like we just did. Oh yeah, Twitter. You guys, Kyle, do you have any new followers?
No, Katie's my latest follower.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Hey, Katie, quick question for you. I saw on your Twitter that you're a De Niro fan as well.
Yes, he and Sylvester are tied for my favorite actors of all time.
So,
Yes.
not to stray too much, but what are your thoughts on Goodfellas?
It is, dare I say, top 5 movies. Definitely in my top 10 movies of all time.
Your hesitation there may be a little bit frightened.
No.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I love Goodfellas.
Me too.
We should do a review of that sometime as one of our
should.
other movies.
Sure.
Oh, it's so good. There's so many people in it too.
Mhm.
Like so many, like great. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, Ray Liotta and De Niro both were in Copland with Stallone, so we could use that as our connection to the Stallone world.
What's the I forget the wife's, Ray Liotta's wife's name.
I just know the character name was Karen. But yeah, Lorraine Bracco. Yeah, that's right.
Lorraine Bracco before The Sopranos. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was great in that too.
Oh, basically, The Sopranos is like half of them were
Yeah.
Goodfellas cast members.
Yep.
So you must have loved Grudge Match. Did you like that movie?
Everybody gave it such a hard time.
It's a fun movie.
I did love it. I actually thought it was a good movie.
It is a good movie. Like, it's well done.
Yeah. And then you add those two in it, and it's boxing. Like,
it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's actually it's a movie that I don't know why it didn't do as well as it could have, but everyone that watches it has a good time. I haven't really heard anyone saying, "Oh, that was a horrible time."
I think they just didn't market it well. You know how it's like sometimes, like, that's what's unfortunate is like really good movies aren't deemed by the studio or whoever decides what they're going to put money behind.
Yeah.
And they just decided not to put money behind marketing it, I don't think.
All right, Kyle. Well, that was a sad state for your Twitter. Everyone follow Kyle. Come on. He's like a Twitter beast.
No, I don't really have any either. I'm not Brian's going to be so disappointed by us, Kyle. I feel like
you guys.
I'm used to being disappointed. It's fine.
Well, you got John Garesti's following you now. Is he just a friend in real life?
No, I don't know. I don't know who John is.
I think he's just a creepy guy who wants to follow you because he's not followed by anyone that I know. According to this, it says not followed by anyone you're following. So I'm not following anyone that. Yeah. So creepy guy. That's all right. How about Chris Robles? I think is a new guy following you, and he's a fan of the show. Well,
so he's a Huskers fan, I see, and I'm from Nebraska, so I thought maybe that was the connection.
Well, he follows the podcast.
Okay. So okay.
I don't think Patrick follows me. Is it the same Patrick? There's someone that follows Katie named Patrick.
Yeah.
But they're a Red Sox fan, which would be weird for him if he's German.
Oh, no. I don't know who that is. I have a friend named Patrick who follows me, but not the show. But he's the Yankees. He's Yankees.
Oh, yeah. This guy's Twitter handle is socks_Pats82. So for sure not a Yankees fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's been following the show forever. He's one of our earliest supporters of the show. So yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. And of course, you got well, we got Louise Mazzo's following you. That's who we just read his email. I think we talked about these other guys. So yeah. So everyone follow Katie Geilenkirchen. And
very good. Very good, Ryan.
And Kyle Peterson. Peterson with a D.
Yeah, it should be Pedersen. It should but be, I think, yeah. Somehow it became Peterson.
Or just follow the Rocky Going the Distance to Twitter, and you'll see all of our handles on there. Okay, so let's start rock and roll into the film. We left off Creed and Rocky. They came to an agreement in the gym. Like, hey, let's train together. Much to the derision. Is that the word? What's the guy's name again now?
Dismay, maybe.
Yeah, much to the dismay of
Pete.
That's right.
Pete Sperino.
That's right. All right, so we're gonna roll into the training. A little bit of a training, not montage, but kind of this is like in Rocky 3, they kind of had failed training or didn't really quite work out, though it was still legitimately training. This is kind of that, or even every Rocky movie kind of has a little bit of that training before the montage type training. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, there has to be some difficulty to overcome.
Well, of course.
Without that, it's
come on, let's do this. Step into my office.
I come from Mississippi.
I am serious. This is old school. You should be able to grab one of these birds. 30 seconds?
Ended up in New York City.
In your dreams.
So the scene right there, the soundtrack going over is kind of loud, but the dialogue was, and the imagery, for those who can't see, they're at a chicken coop, and Rocky tells Creed, or Adonis, that he has 30 seconds to catch the chicken. Now, Kyle, when you caught your chicken, was that 30 seconds?
It was less than 30 seconds.
It was?
It was. But okay. I snuck up on it a bit, too. Instead of just used raw speed.
Did you see that, Katie? Did you see the video?
I did. I did.
Oh, she feels bad for the chicken. She feels bad for the chicken.
I do feel bad for because you had to scare them because they're tame, like they're pets, right? Like they're not. Yeah. And so you had to like scare them to get them. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the chicken's dead by now and already been eaten. So whatever trauma it went through.
They're egg-laying chickens. Yeah.
Although the guy, he lives outside of the city. Like he's not in the city, and he was telling me he's lost a lot of chickens to like coyotes and stuff. So
does he not put them in a coop at night?
He does, but sometimes like they'll break in. Or the chickens will get out, or something like that will happen.
So in the city of Denver, like in the city, you can have chickens. Like one of my best friends has like 14 chickens, and I've held chickens. Anyway, she has like this fancy coop for them at night. But
to make you, I don't know if this make you feel better, but there was one chicken there that got picked on relentlessly by all the other chickens. And I avoided chasing that one.
I heard you say that. I did hear you. I hear you say that.
So I really got back at the bullies, if you want.
There you go. Okay,
that's a medicine.
Jeez.
Way to bring it back to a positive perspective. Also, though, the soundtrack, Ryan, I wanted to point out here, you don't really hear Nas come in yet, but this song is by Nas. So any hip hop fans, 90s and early 2000s hip hop fans, will appreciate that this song is by Nas and he's on the soundtrack. So he's like my second favorite rapper of all time.
That's great. That's why you're on the show. I don't think Kyle and I would have said any of that. So thank you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't know. I don't know any of the artists on here. Okay, so the next scene that we have Adonis running, doing a little bit of a light jog here.
Well, I had my first.
Come on, you call that fast?
Of course, so Rocky's already kind of tripping at him, saying, hey, you call that fast? Now, here's a great scene. So these scenes are coming fast and furious, so I'm stopping it accordingly. What a great shot this is. So we got Adonis skipping rope. We got the Mighty Mix classic picture behind him. And you got Rocky sitting. No, he's older. He's not going to stand. He's going to sit and read the paper while Adonis is working out.
He's got the glasses on. And I love the old school scale behind him, too.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of shows it's like an old school gym.
I love the fact that they had him reading the paper in this scene. He's like, I've done my time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to sit back,
Yeah, you want me to
Like
train
it.
you? I'll give you my knowledge, but I'm not skipping rope with you. Those days are over.
Yeah.
Go watch Rocky 4
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
jump rope action.
Yeah.
Hey,
Now-
we're not in Russia right now. Is it like 20 below? No. So
Now check
Doing
this
pretty
out
good.
here. Do you see this here? Can you guys? Is it clear on your screen enough to see this picture? It's
I
Peter
think
the
that is-
son.
yeah. Now they do have a big Rocky shrine there in another part of the
Yes,
gym.
it is.
But this is definitely
Um,
Peter trying to make this a new the Mighty Peter boxing.
That's a good
Yeah.
catch, Ryan. I wouldn't have noticed that.
Which, like, I'm not totally against because he does run the place, so that's one of the perks, I suppose. But yeah, it does kind of show like the blatant favoritism because he's kind of like, you pay to go there, and this guy spends basically all his time training one guy, and he's like, yeah, I'll show you a move here or there if I have time.
I guess we should
But it's
say
like
a real-
obviously
oh,
you're going to
sorry,
see
go
the
ahead.
picture on the wall, and you're like, okay, never mind. He's not going to pay attention to me at all.
Sorry, I was just thinking about as I'm watching it. Adonis or Michael B. Jordan play Adonis. So I know this podcast will be about a month behind the news of Chadwick Boseman passing, but he actually has a lot of Creed history in the sense he's worked with, of course, Michael B. Jordan. He's worked with Ryan Coogler, who directed Creed. This is Chadwick Boseman I'm speaking of, and he's also worked with Tessa Thompson in the Marvel films. So it's kind of interesting how many people you could even say Sly and Chadwick Boseman have both been in. Did they share a screen time? The Guardians, but it's still they'll share the Marvel universe together. So there's a lot of it's when you're in the Marvel universe, you touch a lot of different actors, but specifically. Michael B. Jordan, Tessa Thompson, and Ryan Coogler, the power trio behind these two films, or at least this film, they all did very, very nice tributes to the passing of Mr. Boseman. So I just thought that was nice. We should just kind of acknowledge that because it does touch on the Creed world a little bit.
It's a good point. And he was a very good actor and seemingly a good human.
Yeah.
Like a good guy.
Not to get political, but I listened to a podcast, and I won't say which one, but I listened to one where the gentleman kind of made a good point. This is not to get political, but a lot of people kind of been hanging their hats on people like George Floyd and people that aren't quite stand-up characters, like hanging their movements on people that have checkered past, to say the least. Whereas Chadwick Boseman would have been a great person to do that for because he's somebody in that community who's done so much work for the needy, for the helpless, for the sick. He seemed to walk the walk of a good person. It seems like he didn't, and people were bullying him, saying terrible things about his weight loss because he never revealed that he was fighting cancer through chemo. So he was having weight loss on pictures like, oh, look at him, look how thin he is. Like, people are dicks. I mean, this is absolute.
Yeah. Yes.
But he didn't want to share it with anyone because he just wanted to live the life that he could, but he lost the battle to cancer. So.
Oh man, and he was super young.
43. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying super young, because I'm 44.
Yeah. I mean.
It is young though.
Yeah. Don't you think? Yeah.
Yeah. Think about Sly's.
It's young to die for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's young. Great point. It's young to die because you look at Sly, he's 74, and so that's 31 years that Chadwick won't live in the industry that he loves so much. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back. So there's Adonis is skipping rope. Rocky's looking on. It's a great shot there, and to capture that for the episode release, that's a great picture.
I named the boy Nasir. All the boys call him now.
And of course, Adonis is having the struggle, like Kyle was saying, the struggles. He's not quite skipping rope the way he might later in the film.
Also, just super quickly, I didn't notice when I watched the movie, but since you're like going through it slowly, he like sticks his tongue out, like because how sometimes like they say like Jordan, like Michael Jordan, like the basketball player Michael Jordan, would like stick his tongue out like sometimes.
He's this weird basketball. He played in the 70s, I think.
Two people named Michael Jordan that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But like sometimes when people like are concentrating on something, they stick their tongue out for whatever reason that like helps you. So anyway, he just did it when he like couldn't get the jump. He couldn't get the rhythm right, jumping rope, and he held his tongue out.
So are we led to believe that Adonis didn't really do this kind of training at all?
He was self-taught, as he said.
Right. Yeah, but he could have self-taught himself to jump rope, right? So I guess like he didn't. It probably wasn't part of his training regimen.
Yeah, like he's certainly in shape. Like he's got a physique already, so he's definitely has a physical physique, but maybe he doesn't have the finesse. Because I think the scene that's coming right now with the speed bag, he's gonna probably have trouble with it too, if I remember correctly.
It's funny too. The guy's checking him out, right?
Yeah,
He's on the and he's probably a little resentful that Rocky's helping not only this random guy, but this guy who appears to suck at boxing.
You got to figure Peter's probably a racist.
Why do you got to figure that, right?
There's always that. Well, you know what? To be honest with you, I'm adding a layer that maybe isn't there, but I would wonder. Because maybe disregard that. But I've added that to his character. He seems like that type of guy where, it probably doesn't help Rocky's case it's not, because I think Italians and blacks, do they get along? I don't know.
I don't know. I know.
It's a stateside thing. Maybe they do or maybe
Well,
they don't.
historically, the Italians have brushed up against the Irish a lot on the East Coast. And the story there with anything is the newer immigrants are always hassled by the older group of immigrants.
Sure.
So the Irish were there before, and then the Italians started coming in, and then they didn't like them. And I know the Irish didn't like the blacks, especially during the Civil War, because they saw them as a threat, because the Irish worked like the lowest paying jobs. And so when black people are emancipated, and like that was part of the New York draft riots during the Civil War, was they didn't want to fight the cause to help like the slaves, because anyways. But I haven't heard much about Italians and black people.
Maybe I'm thinking of Family Guy episode or something. It's a stereotype. You could be wrong.
Well, it is. I mean, historically, again, this is like stereotypically, a lot of different racial groups don't like other racial groups. Sure. But if you were to believe, please tell me you guys have seen True Romance.
Oh, of course, love it.
From the 90s.
Yeah.
If you are to believe that star-studded Tarantino movie with the scene with Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken, where Dennis Hopper is talking about how Sicilians are spawned from, and then he says a racial slur.
Right.
And I think, anyway, that scene doesn't go well for Dennis Hopper because of that.
There you go.
So if you were to believe that, then yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like I said, everything I've learned about American history is through movies. It's not accurate, I know. Okay. Here we go. So he's having
a 50-50 that this guy's a racist.
He just seems like a dick and a creep. I would just add that to his repertoire. Is all.
It might as well be racist.
We'll add it. We don't like him as we're not meant to like him in the movie.
Paulie was. Paulie was.
True.
He just was.
Seems like Rocky didn't have like a racist bone in his body though. There's like no.
No, there's no hint that it was an issue for him for about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Rocky.
Again.
I thought you were fast.
Let's go.
Get them legs moving. A little harder, a little faster.
So they're just repeating the exercises.
Keep up the pace. Keep going.
Hey, Chuck Berry of this rap skit. Styles I mastered. Many brothers snatched it up and tried to match it. But I'm still number one, everyday real. Speak what I want, I don't care what y'all feel. Cause I'm my own master. My pop told me be your own boss. Keep integrity at every cost. And this home was snatches. Mississippi did it like Miles and Dizzy. Now we getting busy. Bridging the gap from the blues to jazz to rap. The history of
So there's Michael there showing his skills, the actual actor himself showing he's got that, doing the Rocky double cross, and I actually I'm an okay rope skipper or jump rope person. I'm okay. I used to be able to do the double rope stuff. Of course, I modeled myself after the Rocky character. Back when I was 19, 20, I was able to do the double in a row.
Oh, impressive.
Yeah, I know, but take my word for it. But nowadays, I can still jump rope okay, like I do okay. As long as my cardio can keep going, I can keep the rhythm going pretty good. And I used to do the crossover thing too. Self-taught, no one taught me, but not like this fast. But of course, I'm sure there was times you messed up, but they just kept what was, in the film.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But it's fun to do once you get how to do it. But when you use a leather rope and you miss, it hurt. It does hurt. smack yourself.
I don't even own a jump rope, so I'll have to take your word for it.
Kyle, you must skip rope. You've done that?
I've done it a little bit. I'm not that good at it.
I should do it on camera one day and post it. See if
you should. You totally should.
Old Ryan now, but I mean, it'd be fun just to maybe cue some of that music to it or something. It'd be silly. It'd be stupid. Everyone would laugh, but it'd be funny. All right, here we go.
That bell don't mean school's out, Donnie. Keep going. That bell means hell.
That's a great line. Now, I love that line. But there's a part of me that wonders who wrote that. Was that Old Sly? And it's very, I would say it's very non-Rocky-ish, but in a weird way, it is kind of. But I guess when he gets into training mode, there's a different side of Rocky that does come out.
He would have had to at least approve it, that it was Rocky enough to say, because that's what he said. Like he said, actually, no, he said he changed every single line.
Yeah, every single line.
Yeah, that's what he said. So
Rocky had sass. We did see kind of the sass. Rocky does have it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like he did it. A lot of it was in Rocky 3. You know, when he's chirping at Mr. Clubber Lang. Rubbing his mohawk with his hand. Like he can be sassy and chirpy. There's another time they did it, even with Apollo when he was like, the age before beauty, and so Rocky does have it in him to chirp a little bit. Like he grew up in that neighborhood where he's nice about it, but you just add a little bit of that toughness when it's meant to motivate. That's where it could work. He's not an angel.
He's in that. This is what you have to do as a trainer. You have to push someone.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that, and he was pushed, and so he's going to do what was done to him.
What
was the bell for then?
Maybe it was in the background for the other sparring people, because the gym, the bell is probably for the people sparring. No,
when he says that bell means hell, I wonder if that was intentional by him, because it's like a psychological thing where when you're doing say push-ups or something and you tell yourself I'm going to do 30 push-ups, those last 3 or 4 are tough usually, and then it's like if you tell yourself you're going to do 40 push-ups, it seems easier to get to 30. Like when you have an end goal in mind, it's like you almost kind of shut down closer to that end goal.
It's weird how that works. I know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do 20 push-ups in the last 5, but if you did 25 push-ups as your goal, it's weird that number 20 wouldn't have felt as hard as the end 20 if you're only doing 20.
It's all in here, and so I wonder if doing that's a way to show you think this is your end point, but I'm going to demonstrate to you right now that it really isn't. That you're capable of doing a lot more. And it's what's in your head that stops you. So it's like, okay, well, this bell means hell. Now you're going to go into this new area you haven't been to before.
But to Brian's point about that line didn't seem like Rocky, now that I think about it, it sort of doesn't make sense, because in every other context of the bell, and I feel like even Rocky has said it before, if not Rocky Mickey, the bell is the sweetest sound. Because it means you get a break.
Yeah, because
that's what he wants him to think he's getting a break, and then say, no, you're not getting a break. You're going to keep going. Like he's messing with him, I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he is definitely. Yeah, he's using the bell against him. Where before, when Rock was trained, it was the opposite. Because Mickey would say, "I didn't hear no bell." So meaning the bell did end the suffering. So Rocky's taking that further. Like, no, the bell doesn't mean we've ended. It means we're just beginning, and now it's hell. So he's just taking that attitude. She's made it more. The bell does not mean a break. It used to mean that. Yeah. It used to.
Right.
Because that was Mickey saying, "I didn't hear no bell."
Go get the chicken. It's not that big a deal. Come here. Oh my God. It's pretty good. Chickens are slowing down.
A little humor there, because Adonis catches it. We're led to believe it's probably the first day he's doing it. He caught the chicken under 30 seconds, and Rocky's like, "Oh, chickens are slowing down." I guess Adonis is not a Kentucky Fried Idiot. Anyways, that's a fun little training montage. Let's just see what the scene.
Borrowing from the past, yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, another picture here. We got the Rocky and Rocky 4 to the left over here.
Yeah, someone in Russia took that.
Yeah, that's a Russian photograph.
Well, I guess there was news media from all over the world.
Yeah, there was American photographers there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I can't see the verses. Yeah, those maybe were just previous fights. That don't matter. Go on. Keep going.
Okay, so we can let's see what we got here for time. Okay. Well, this is a great scene here.
Right.
So for our listeners that aren't seeing this is the scene, of course, where Rocky and Adonis are going to the mirror, and they're looking at the mirror. So we see both them and the image in the mirror. So let's listen to what Rocky says.
Donnie, get into your stance. Make a small target. Turn sideways. Okay. You see this guy here staring back at you?
Yeah.
That's your toughest opponent. Every time you get into the ring, that's who you're going against. I believe that in boxing, and I do believe that in life. Okay? You throw a jab in the jaw. All right, one to the gut. Now, every time you punch this guy, what's he doing?
He's throwing one back at me.
That's right. So either you block it, slip it, or get out of the way. So. I'll leave you two alone for a while. Good luck.
Excuse me. I was gonna say that's probably one of the more powerful. I would say underappreciated, but what's the word I'm looking for? Underrated scenes that Sly has done. It's very subtle acting there, and I think that's probably when people were watching this film, like critics. So I mute and cough. Just wait. I think when critics were watching this film, it was probably and this is about the 40-minute mark. This is when they're probably like, oh, Sly's really bringing it. I think it was probably around here when they realized Sly's actually kind of bringing this role, because it's a very subtle a very natural way he acted. And I had this argument before about Sly and maybe not getting the Oscar for this, and I kind of understand it, because he's cheating. He just rolls into this character so easily. And so it's not that he didn't do a great job, but he's been doing it for so long. And so the guy that beat him, though it's Mark Rylance for The Bridge of Spies, I've seen the movie, and I will say that the guy that did a great job. And what I'll give credit to Mark Rylance is that was his first time doing it. That was his first time being that character. So he had whatever time to get ready to be that character was the character in that movie, then he left. Where Sly, both to his credit, but also maybe to his detriment in the award season, was people are like, he's been doing this so long. He just naturally is that character. He slips into it. So I think it almost hurt him because he's just so good at it. And he's been doing it for so long. It's almost like he's an expert in that role. Had it been the same performance in a different role, it might have been a different award season.
Well, but therefore he was robbed in 1976.
I know that. I think that's the bigger rob.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back then, because he was such a new actor, that was just, hey, you got nominated for one of your first films. Congratulations. More things to come.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can win either way in some ways. But that's kind of how I've made peace with it. Because of watching that role there, you could just tell the way he did that part. It just was, now, he's a good acting, but I think it's also just a second nature to him.
Okay, I want to push on that a bit.
Sure.
Yes, I agree that it's the character's second nature. But the character has also evolved considerably over time. For instance, we have seen Rocky in a training role before. Granted, it was in 1990, but it was nothing like this.
Oh, good.
That's two films ago.
I know, director. That's what I'm saying.
So,
credit to the director.
So he's remade it, like he's gone back to find the sweet spot, like the Rocky character we love, and he found that and he brought it. And so
so Ryan, but your argument, the director, it was John Avildsen in Rocky V. And this is Ryan Coogler, like somebody he doesn't have a relationship with. Young,
hungry.
Yeah.
And that could have been, I think there's a lot of different factors. I think everyone's right. I think everyone's bringing it's a perfect storm. I think the perfect storm in Rocky V was you had inflated egos and you had people, it wasn't hard to make Rocky V in the sense of like, there was no struggle. There was no, like, it was kind of like, it wasn't a passion project. It was a troubled production. There was conflicts between John and Sly. There was conflicts with the script. Sly had a vision. John had it. Like, they didn't agree the way they agreed in part one. Because
That's a good point.
Sly had an inflated ego, and rightfully so. He was 44 years old, the biggest star in the world. He, he just had what he had back then. Now, as a 69-year-old in this film, he's humbled a little bit. He sees that, he recognizes, like, man, if I really crap the bed on this, I'm going to ruin everything that I did with Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
You got to watch those 44-year-olds, Ryan.
They're horrible.
Also,
my inflated ego is pretty bad, I'll tell you.
To Kyle's point, though, a little bit, so I think you're both right. And what I'm wondering about, though, is there a single actor who has played a character for 45 years? I mean, he should get credit for that.
And he does. He's worth $500 million. I think sometimes we forget how big of an empire he's built for himself. You Google the top actors, he's in the top 5. Like, he's in the realms of Tom Cruise, like the big names. Like, he's got more money than Will Smith. Like,
as he should.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but you would think, these younger, whatever. But no, he's built an empire, and rightfully so, between the Rocky and the Rambo films. And I know it's not about money, but it just shows you the worth in that. The draw is there, and he, whether through merchandise or whatever, the Rocky character is huge. It's a huge draw, and that's why, Kyle, to speak to what you're saying before, he might not. He's tapped into that gold vein. It keeps producing gold. It is.
It's fraught with peril, right? Because it's like you could tap into it the wrong way for whatever reason.
There's nothing worse than tapping the wrong way.
Oh my God.
I don't. What are you laughing at? I don't understand. What's so funny? Okay, all right. So let's. What's this scene coming up here? I forget actually.
It's Adonis and goes to Bianca's house.
Okay. Well, we have two choices, guys. We can cut it now, so it's going to be about. That's not bad. It'll be about, by the time the editing is done, about an hour, 55-minute episode. That's fine. Because we are recording a little bit more frequently, and I thought about that. If we're able to do kind of weekly recordings, and I can maybe punch them out a little bit quicker than every 2 weeks, much to the happiness of our listeners, and then we don't have to do as big as recording. So we can do, I think, 2 40-minute segments is not a bad way to go. So okay. Well, Kyle's like, I'm done. Jeez, boy, I'm just joking. He's out of here. Well, let's just wrap it up. We've got 5 minutes here, so I just want to say thank you to you guys. Truly, this is just Ryan speaking. It's so much fun talking with you guys. And Kyle, I just want to say thank you to Kyle for stepping in as the co-host to take over when Ruben left. And having Katie on has been a real treat. I think our listeners. I took a gamble. I would say, well, it is a gamble because when you change the format, people might be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" She could be the Yoko Ono to Ryan and Kyle. And
oh God,
I just fucking hate each other now.
Yeah. and I think and you've been a great podcaster. The feedback we've been getting both on Patreon comments, YouTube comments. Emails have all been positive. Now, is there negative people? Sure. There's people that don't even like me, and they probably still listen. But the point is, they've been all positive comments, at least publicly. So we thank people for listening and for commenting and welcoming you into the podcast world.
Well, thank you for having me, and just very much try not to wear out my welcome.
Well, I've worn out mine a long time ago. Don't worry. It's fine. I'm sick of my own voice. Last bit here. If you want to become a Patreon member for as low as $1 a month, what it gives you is these live video recordings, early releases of the audio recordings, and at the very least, it throws a little bit of shekels our way for the feed of the podcast, hosting fee, and saying thank you to me, Ryan, for editing all this shite. And oh, yeah. Give us a review on iTunes. We haven't got a new one in a while. We appreciate those. And anything from you guys before we close?
On the editing front, I will say just this morning, I talked to one of my sisters and she listens to a lot of like parenting podcasts, she says, that are like professionally produced. And she felt like, so I was telling her a little bit behind the scenes that this is not a professionally produced show. Like you are doing all the editing yourself, et cetera, et cetera. And she was like, well, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. So kudos, Ryan.
Yeah, it sounds like a legit podcast for sure.
Yeah.
Like I'm never like this is some Mickey Mouse operation. Like it's.
I appreciate that, guys.
Appreciate
Appreciate it. Question: Is your sister prettier than you or less prettier than you?
I don't, she is, she's prettier than me. I'll say she's prettier than me, but she is older than me. So age.
I love it.
Before beauty.
Age before beauty. That's great.
Yeah.
Kyle rolled as Kyle. I'm just having fun. Like we have a female in our midst. It's okay to have a little bit of fun. Like what am I gonna say about Kyle? Like yeah, you're so handsome, Kyle. Gee, this is great.
Yeah, I'm very jealous, and I
Don't be jealous,
You know,
Kyle. We need
I
you.
want some.
The first time like Katie and I did a podcast, we actually mentioned like we can't wait to have Kyle on because you do add things that I don't add at all. I need the Kyle voice of reason, the history that you know. You always put me back in my place, and no, I think it's the perfect yin yang yang. I don't know what the third one is, but it's all working. I'm happy.
I like it.
All right, guys. Well, I think Katie, it's your turn to take us out.
Ding ding.
All right. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. Truly, guys, you guys are fun, and I appreciate coming on short notice. So just I have two more minutes before this shuts down. So what's happened with my work is like when we last recorded, I found out that I'm working every Saturday and Sunday, like 12-hour shifts from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And
it's rough.
It sucks. But I kind of get Monday. I worked only a half day today. I work a half day Friday, but I pretty much get Monday to Wednesday off for the next couple of weeks. So I'll be available to do a weekday recording here and there. So, but next week I think I am recording with Craig and Doug to do a to review Backtrace. Oh God.
Ryan, sorry, when you said that, are those the guys you're gonna do the review of Party at Kitty and Studs with?
Yes.
I want to get in on that. If you could try to get.
Oh yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
I just can't wait to hear it. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
I just listened to today the Muppets show and the Saturday Night Live one. I just listened to that one today.
Nice.
It was good.
It was okay.
I never saw either one, so now I'm like I kind of want to go watch that SNL episode.
Yeah, they're good. It's the SNL one's much more fun. So anyways, I do appreciate the short notice. So what we'll do is probably a 2-week break anyways, because like I said, I'm recording with the guys around September 10th. So we're looking at the following, like in the early teens of September. So I'll let you know, and if you're okay, kind of short notice again. I try not to make it too short notice, but like hey, Monday, Tuesday or something like that. Or yeah, you guys are awesome.
Okay.
Namaste.
Oh, no. Thank you guys. Thank you both. And have what is today? I don't even know. Have a good rest of your week. Have a good rest of your week.
It's Wednesday today.
Wednesday.
There you go. All right, guys. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Oh, I'm still recording. Hey, guys. Bye.